So I'm going to show you how you can use your PDFs that you have, which I did a lot when my kids had to be quarantined, so that if my sorting center was already doing an activity, I made it virtual on Seesaw so that those kids would be doing the exact same activity their partners were doing. So it kind of kept them in the routine. So I have, first you would go to add, and I'm going to show you two different ways to upload your pictures. You do add, assign activity, and then you always have to name your activity after you do create activity. And this is just going to be a word work activity. And then your directions, and I gave you the cheat codes so that you can have their icons pop up. I always do add response, move to sort the pictures, pencil, because a lot of them have a recording, record your answers, and then depending on the activity, I have them do the mic and read it to me or send me their work, just depending on what it is. So I'm going to put the mic in there, and then if once I've finished building the assignment, I decide that I don't need that, I can always go back and change that. And then the green check to send your work. You also can come down here to the add voice instructions, where you can record yourself reading the instructions to your students as well. And then you'll come down here to add template for student response. And you always want to do the drawing one, because that's going to take you to the creative canvas, which gives you the canvas where you can drop activities into. So I currently have one of my Math and Literacy Center activities pulled up in was pulled up. Oh no, it's not in PowerPoint, it's in Acrobat Reader. And it closed, so let me open it back up for you. One of my October Literacy Centers. So I'm going to pick one that has more of a sorting activity. And for this one, you can, let's see if it'll let me share my screen. It wouldn't let me earlier with Seesaw. Okay, you can take a snapshot and screenshot your cards, and then you can either swipe it over before it disappears and then change the size, or you can do them and insert them, and I'll show you another way to do that too. So I would just have, I'm gonna have mine sort my pumpkins first and then do a recording sheet. So you just take a screenshot of your activity and then slide it in. And if you're not quick enough to get it in, you can take your screenshot and then hit the hit the camera and upload. And usually mine goes to my recents, and I just select that and, oh, not hit cancel. I guess it's because I've got too many things open. Okay. And then it'll, well, that's not what I selected. But if you get the wrong one, you can easily delete it. I think I can't be sharing a screen for that to work as well. Let me go back to Seesaw so that I can see exactly what's going on. There we go. Open that, send that in, and do that. So I'm not gonna put all of my pictures in right now. I'm just gonna get a few more just to give you an idea of how you can build that. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna get some from the other slide that has my lowercase letters, so that they can kind of match them together, or sort the upper and lowercase ones. And then I'm just gonna grab a few more, and then I'll insert them the other way. And then back and insert. And then you can use the tools to type what you want them to do. And usually I try to get everything about the same size, just because I'm really funny about that. I always change the background color. to something that might go well with it. And then I'm gonna, okay, then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna type, match the cap, or no, I'm gonna sort. I'm gonna put uppercase, I like to do that in all caps, uppercase letters, and then you can take that, you can change the font on here if you want by hitting the 3 buttons to a different style. I usually like the feather one, but you don't have to use that. And I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna slide it over. And then I like to lock it in place so then the kids can't move it and it won't go anywhere. I'm gonna do the same thing for lowercase letters. And then I'm gonna take it and drag it over and lock it in place. And then for these, once you get them the size you want, I always like to line them up on the bottom or around. Once you get them the size you want, they now have a option where you can lock all, or lock size only. So if you just lock the size, when the kids go to drag it, it won't get real big and real small, real big and real small, and it drives them up the wall. So anytime you do that, hit just lock size, and that helps a lot. And
So
unfortunately,
can you do that on things that have already been created?
yeah,
that,
you can go back.
Community that you find.
Yes, you can. And I always forget to do it until the kids are actually doing it, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Ooh!" Like with the sight word activity we did this week, their letters were going all over the place. And I'm like, "Oh, I forgot to do that," because they didn't have that as an option last year when we were designing different activities. So now you can do that, and it makes it so much easier for everybody. So, and then lock.
And so you just click on those 3 buttons.
Yep,
and
there's
then
that
mhm.
3 dot.
Yeah.
Those 3 dots.
That's what I meant.
I always kind of like to think of the ellipsis, even though it's not. You can also add your voice to these, but I don't like adding my voice that way. If I like to do it a different way, but lock size. So that would, I know I don't have the whole thing done, but that would be like my first slide. So then I would come over here, and you can always add another page. So depending on what kind of recording sheet it was, you can add a page. You can copy the recording sheet from your PDF if you would like, similar to the way we were doing it. Or you could just have them write all the capital letters, write all the lowercase letters. Since they did match, they were the same ones, you could just take a picture of that and go back, slide it in, lock it. Once you get it the size you want, I'd lock it in place so it can't go anywhere. I just lock all for that one. And then I always like to have my backgrounds looking the same. And this one, they could still record their direction, that what they want for me as well. But then just because they've already heard the directions, but they're on a new slide, I always like to give them more directions again. Boys and girls, use the touch tool, sort the letters, put the uppercase letters under uppercase and lowercase letters under lowercase. And then it kind of takes, oh, you have to hit done. It kind of makes it a picture on top of a picture, so that makes it a problem for them too. So, and our poetry journal does that too. So I like to take it and grab it and shrink it so that all you can see is the play button. And I move the play button and I put it over here. Sometimes I'll put a speech bubble because they have some really cool picture tools, which I was going to show you in how to make an easy graph on here for your kids. You can just take this, you can layer this, order it to the back, order, send back. Did it do that? Okay. And then I usually put it under there and lock them together. And sometimes I even put an arrow just so that they know, hey, I need to press that play button. And then when you're done with all of that, you hit the green check mark. And then that's when you can assign it to a folder if you would like to. Well, actually, not yet. I have to save it first. You can save it. You can assign it to a folder. You can, just like Danielle was showing you. And see, I always have mine in Smith Knight's kindergarten class, and I put an asterisk by it, so mine, the one I use all the time, is always at the top of my list. And then assign to a class. Oh, I didn't mean, it didn't give me the option to
Can
just
we move it
Oh,
to
I know
the
what I did. Folders, and then that would be your reading activity, or you could even do literacy centers, or however you want to do it. and then, well, you don't have to create the folder, it's already there. And then that way, please enter the name of your, there we go, reading. And the check mark, and then you can schedule your assignment. If you don't want them to have it immediately, you can always schedule it for a different day. Like, I think I'm gonna schedule mine for a different day because that might not be the activity we're doing this week. And then it will assign them at that time. So, and then you can see all of your little icons that popped up in there as well. So that's how you can take your PDFs and do that. But it's also, I found, pretty easy, like especially with graphing, because our kids need a lot of practice with graphing, even though we don't formally do it till later in the year. In our math textbook, I don't think it ever introduces it at all. So what I do for that is I like to go into Word actually, and I make a table. I do insert a table, and if you want to, this might be easier for us to do together if you want to try. I usually just make a table that's like about 4 by 5 because I don't want to give them too many objects, and I just kind of pull it down, stretch it out so it looks more like a graph that they're used to seeing. I don't want it to be too big, but I don't want it to be too small so that so they can kind of see differences in their graph. And then I take a screenshot of it, just like I did the other activities after I get the little plus thingy from disappearing, because I don't like that in my graph. Okay, then you can screenshot it, and if you go into your Seesaw and add activity, you can, and if you don't want to do this naming it first, I've definitely done it second before, you can take the drawing again and you can upload your graph.
What's the difference in doing it that way and not just hitting upload?
Because, oh, you mean like upload this way?
So before that,
Oh,
when you
it's
hit,
quicker. I find it saves, like if you're doing, especially when I'm doing the math textbook curriculum, I don't have to go back and look for them because half the time they're so tiny and I'm like, okay, wait, which one was that again? So that's
well,
why.
I meant, like when you go back from the like, can you go back?
Yes.
I know what you're talking about because I do that.
Okay, so why hit
Oh, from
drawing
here?
and not upload right there, or does it matter?
Because if I do that, why? Honestly, I didn't realize I could do it that way because I've
I
always.
think
I used to.
shows
I
this-
do it that way, and then when you started showing how to do it, then I started doing it.
I do it this way because then I
You're
can
right.
change it and
Okay.
do stuff on top of it.
You can still.
But
do
I
that.
guess you could do it either way. Honestly, I've always done it this way, so that's
That's just why you do it.
that's
I
the
was
way
just
I've done
curious
it.
If there was a reason.
But no, I'm glad you let me know because I did not realize you could do it that way because I never have. But then I like to kind of set my graph in here, and then it's really easy to add your own clip art. But I wanted to show you they have some pretty good items you can use here. So if you lock, I usually lock all for this one as well. But then you can come over here to the 3 dots, and they have shapes. And so a lot of times I will use the different shapes, and I'll just I'll pick one of each shape, and it'll just put them in random places. And then since I have 4 places on my graph, and then I'm gonna come down here and make it the size I want. And then I duplicate them so that I don't have to worry about them being the same size again. And I'm going to, I can't lock the size until I duplicate them. So you will have to click lock size on each one, unfortunately, I think, pretty sure, but we'll try. Maybe, no, because you have to unlock it. Then you can duplicate them to the number that you need, and then slide them around. So the kids have to actually sort them and build your graph. I always try to get different numbers just so that they can have more for that. And we'll have 2 rectangles. And then usually I type my directions and record them. Oh wait, I don't want to record yet, sorry. Sort the shapes and place them in the graph. And then you can take it, now that it's got the 3 dots, you can adjust the size, you can adjust the width so it's more like a sentence. And then you can add the sound to that again, just like before. Use the touch tool, sort the pictures, and lay them in the graph. And then the kids, again, I always have to shrink that. And sometimes it flips it around. And I usually just go back and I turn it when it does that, or you can always hit the back button. That's what I teach my kids to do whenever they do mess up theirs. I'm just like, hit the back button until you get it back where it should look great. So then I take that and I'll drag that over there. Well, when it wants to. And I usually set one underneath and lock it in place so that the kids know where they are taking their, where they need to put their shapes at. Lock all. And then like right now, where's the lock all? Ah, sorry. I guess 'cause it's kind of low. There we go. Then you can also type questions, like especially like in math right now, we're identifying the greater and the number that's greater and the number that's less than. Specifically, I often will have something like that. Which shape was greater? Because then they can draw it, they can write it, they can say it to you, which is why I really like this particular aspect of Seesaw, because it makes it much easier for our students to tell us the answer independently. Which shape was less or had the least? I'm gonna do the same thing. You can give them a line to write on using their tools, which is why it's relatively easy to create activities from scratch, because you can grab a line, put the line in, change the color over here, and just put it where you want the kids to write or draw the shape. And then you can duplicate that and slide it down. Lock in place.
And as you can see, this takes a lot of time.
It does take more time, but once you've made it, then you have to make it again, as well. But, and then just click the check mark to save it, and then you'd have to go back and rename it. But, and what I find often when I get the activities off of the community page, you can easily, they've done a great job, you can easily edit it to fit your needs just by doing the copy and edit activity. So you can change the directions if you just want it to be you telling your kids what to do, or if you don't like their template, you can always change that as well. But that would kind of be a little bit more for another day. And I will put, we have a Google Drive that will have tutorials and stuff for you. And the little infographic shows you the basics on how to, if you're taking a picture and adding it in. That was using the math curriculum, but it's pretty much the same idea if you're using a PDF or something you already have on your iPad, or on your computer, I mean. I did that when we had kids with poetry that were out. I took a picture of our poem, and every day they got another copy of it doing the same, or they just resubmitted what we did each day, like they were here with us. So, but yeah, I know that was kind of quick and a lot of information. Do you have any questions?
I've already asked mine, so.
No, I'm glad you did, because I didn't realize, I've always done the Canvas one. I didn't realize you could just upload. I do that when I send my newsletters out. I always do the upload option for the PDFs.
No, that was helpful then.
Yes.
I didn't know that about locking the size, so that.
That is one of my
love that.
favorite things, and they
Me
just
too.
introduced that at the end of the year last year, I think. Because I'm on a Seesaw Facebook page thing, and they, everybody was very excited about that when they started to do that.
Yeah, I knew about the locking, but I didn't know about all the shape features and things
Mhm.
like that down there, so that's good to know.
It is fun because you can do a lot of different things with the shapes. And there are other things, well, I don't wanna get into that, cause that's, that's more for another day. Oh, that's not Canvas. I was gonna show you, we have a Google Drive folder that we will share with you. And it has a lot of the tutorials and the handouts that we gave you today, as well as we do more tutorials. We still have pre-Ks to do as well. And theirs is gonna focus on a different topic, just like first grade was a little bit different, so that you'll have access to all of that. It's farther down. And we also have a feedback from, let's see, you'll have all this in here. All these are Danielle's up at the top, and then different things. But we're gonna send you a 3-question feedback, just so you can kind of give us some information on how we did, if there's anything else you need to know, things like that. So we will send that out to you guys after we're done with our session.
Alright,
Okay.
thank y'all.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Very
And anytime you have any questions, please